Hello, friends, and welcome back. Welcome back on this game day, on this 29th day of November, on a freezing day in Montreal, where it's windy and cold, and winter is now in full effect. Welcome back to In the Car with Star. Welcome to my beautiful Ash Gregoire Chambon Nissan. You can slide into your dream Nissan, just like I did. Go to 4299 on Route 440 West in Laval and see my friends at Ash Gregoire Chambon Nissan for the third year in a row, named Quebec's #1 Nissan dealership in customer service and in sales. Welcome to game day. The Montreal Canadiens in Columbus wrapping up their 5-game road trip. Remember, that started off with a Saturday affair in Boston as the Canadiens wrap it up in Columbus against the better than we thought BJs, certainly out of the gate. Considering that Columbus had 1 win in 14 games, and now here they are 3-1 in their last 4, and coming off a rather dominant performance in that 5-2 decision over Boston on a Monday night. And the Bruins are starting to come back down to earth. So what do the Montreal Canadiens have up their sleeves? Tonight, we do know that Sam Montembeault will get to start in goal, and the Montreal Canadiens are looking to end on a positive, considering they're coming off that 4-0 loss to the LA Kings on Saturday afternoon. So it's been a minute. I don't know how you feel or how you felt about how this week has kind of played itself out. For me, talking to you on Wednesday morning, it feels like this week has moved along at a snail's pace. It feels like forever since the Canadiens last played a game. I'm anxious. I'm itching. I'm ready to see the Canadiens back out there on the ice because, it was a hot button issue this morning on the morning show with yours truly and Connor McKenna, where, Connor's perspective, and obviously he's not here to talk for himself or defend his point if I go against it. Are you ready for the tank battle? Are you ready to hear for the remaining, what are we talking about, game number 22 for another 60 games about the Montreal Canadiens losing and looking at the possibilities of where they're going to draft, how high up the draft ladder is this team going to climb? And while, we can, I think, agree here on a set of circumstances today that the Montreal Canadiens, as they're currently built, are not a playoff caliber team. So if you believe that, I believe that. I believe that the Montreal Canadiens are not talented enough. They haven't shown me that they're able to perform consistently well enough to be a playoff team. And I guess if I'm being really truthful and telling you how I really feel and what I really want to see, I don't think I want them to make the playoffs because I do believe in mediocrity being death. I believe mediocrity is settling. And I think we can all understand this. I think probably we were all told the same bit of advice when we were growing up. Never settle for anything in your life. Professional, personal, love, sports, whatever the case may be, try to avoid settling at any cost. And I don't want to settle for mediocrity. I don't want to cheer for mediocrity. I don't want to cheer for ifs and buts and what might have been. And if everything aligns at the right time under the right solar pattern and the sun's in the right spot in the sky, then and only then will the Montreal Canadiens do something none of us saw coming. It's too many variables for me. As a fan, there are too many variables. And when I look at other teams' success, yes, I am envious. Yes, I do want the Montreal Canadiens to be successful. Yes, I do want them to be respected. I do want them to be looked upon as the model organization in the National Hockey League. Yes, I am a fan of the Montreal Canadiens. Yes, I grew up cheering for this team, and that's never going to change. Whether I work for TSN 690 or I work for Little Bear in Westmount selling dog and cat food to you, it's never going to change. I was raised a Canadiens fan. I'm going to die a fan of the Montreal Canadiens. And my attitude towards them wanting to win and wanting them to be great and wanting Montreal to be the envy of every other club in the league is what I want to see. Am I a selfish Montreal Canadiens fan? So be it. That's who I am, and that's what I want to see. So how can I fulfill my wishes and hopes and desires? How do we get there? Because I don't think I'm talking in a vacuum. I don't think I'm talking in an echo chamber. I do believe that by and large, the fan base is looking for longevity. The fan base in this market that watches and pays attention and gives their money to the Montreal Canadiens wants something to believe in, wants something that is, that cliched light at the end of the tunnel. Are the Montreal Canadiens giving you reasons to believe that that light at the end of the tunnel is reality, and that you're not wandering through the desert looking for water and willing to drink the sand because you think it'll quench your thirst. And I do think there is some progress. I do. I think if we're going to beat the drum and talk about Juraj Slafkovsky, who I wasn't the biggest fan of with the pick, as I've expressed myself many times here, I don't like that the Montreal Canadiens have continually kind of gone off the board and project themselves as the sharpest, smartest people in the room come draft day and go against the grain. I think they did that with Reinbacher. I think they did that with Juraj Slafkovsky. And look, I could have egg on my face 3 years from now when Slafkovsky is turned into this power forward that is this punishing player that scores goals, that can help drive a line, and has helped bring Montreal to another level, competitively speaking. Maybe he'll get there. But if we looked at this guy's development from last year before he got hurt and in the early goings of this season, yes, it's been disappointing. But with that being said, I think Juraj Slafkovsky's game, and I'm not going to go as far as to tell you that his season has turned around off of that loss in Boston that started the Canadiens' 5-game road trip. He had a goal and an assist for 2 points. That was a big boy hockey game. And I thought Juraj Slafkovsky brought that big boy mentality and used his frame. And I see, I don't choose to see, I see a 19-year-old prospect that is getting more comfortable with his size and his place in the game. And maybe the game is starting to slow itself down for him a little bit, and it's starting to come to him a little easier than it did last year or in the first, let's say, 15, 16 games of this season, his second in the National Hockey League. And I also believe one of the areas of optimism surrounding Juraj Slafkovsky is that, yes, he is playing with Christian Dvorak, and that he's not with Nick Suzuki on the number one line. I think Christian Dvorak is the perfect centerman for Juraj Slafkovsky's development and where he is. No frills, no adventure, he's taking too many risks and too many gambles, and has asked Slafkovsky to do something he's not good enough, and that's recover and back check and be hockey IQ. I think the KISS method, keep it simple, is what makes Juraj Slafkovsky a lot better and a lot more dangerous. And when he gets that confidence, then we can talk about other roles and other assignments that maybe we can see him flourishing in. So outside of Juraj Slafkovsky, who it must be said is playing much better. So if you're one of those that thought that this guy potentially could be a bust, which is something we've never ever referred to or thought or said, but if you do, maybe you see a silver lining, maybe you see something to build off, because I know I do. And clearly, the number one player on this Montreal Canadiens team, as it's currently built, that gives you the most reason to be optimistic about the rebuild being on track, regardless of the win and losses, is Kaiden Guhle's performance. And I think we saw this early on, certainly in his rookie season. You know, the ability, I think, the big separation between great NHL players and very good NHLers is that space between your ears. And the way Kaiden Guhle approaches games psychologically, I am in awe of. I was never that mature mentally, probably not today, as Kaiden Guhle comes across to me in his second year in the National Hockey League, whether he's dealing with McDavid or Sidney Crosby or Nathan MacKinnon or Nikita Kucherov or Jack Hughes, the best players in the league. This guy takes a very simplistic approach to breaking down the opposition, to making sure that he doesn't put the cart ahead of the horse, that he stays composed, and he doesn't make a lot of glaring mental mistakes, and that you can see the future and you can see this guy getting better. I think Justin Barron is another player to me that jumps out from the page and says, hey, notice me. Look how confident I can be. And you know, it's a good mix. You know, I've said it before. I think the Montreal Canadiens, when it comes to the areas that they're rebuilding in, the core group defensively, for me, is very, very good. And the promise of what might become of the Canadiens' top six is very good. And think about someone like Jordan Harris, for example, who's, I think, his game has fallen off, you know, dealing with injury, etc. Jaden Struble, Mike Matheson. I think if we're talking about the future of Jaden Struble down the depth chart of the Montreal Canadiens, or Jordan Harris as a number 5 outside of the top 4, I think we're talking about a very deep, very different looking complexion of the Montreal Canadiens defense. Like, for a second, think about whether you've got Mike Matheson, right, who has got 8 points in his last 10 games. There's a nice little mix of a guy who has no doubt shown you flashes of offensive brilliance this season multiple times. Mike Matheson. You've got Caden Gooley, the calm, composed leader on the back end there as a legit number 1 pair defenseman. You've got Jordan Harris. You've got Jaden Struble. We're going to be talking about Lane Hudson at the NHL level in the not-too-distant future. Jonathan Kovacevic is in the mix there. Arbor Jacki, where do you have this guy slotted in? So you hear what I'm saying? Like, it's coming. Who's Joshua Roy going to be? Who's Logan Mailloux going to turn into? So, like, if we're talking about prospects, we're talking about building the cupboards, we're talking about depth. The Montreal Canadiens defense, there, even though I named a couple of forwards, even though we're talking about the depth defensively, this is the best area the Montreal Canadiens have been in terms of goaltender, defense, forwards that I have seen in forever. In forever. I think they have legitimate studs and the possibility of a home run hitter in Lane Hudson coming up. He's on deck. So, yes, very excited about this. Put me in the category of, I believe the Canadiens rebuild is on track. And I wonder, obviously, about how they approach the rest of this season, in particular when it comes to goaltending, because I'll go back to the first point I made today with you, is mediocrity is death. There is no gray area there. And it's funny because it was kind of like last year where the Montreal Canadiens, if we look at the team that we saw last year after 21, 22 games versus the team we're watching this year going into game 22 in Columbus tonight, the Montreal Canadiens, believe it or not, are actually 3 points off the pace of last year's team. And I'm not really surprised by that. Remember last year how good the Canadiens were out of the gate. They weren't as good for as long out of the gate this year compared to last year, but nevertheless, a lot of the same things resurfaced, right? Depth scoring, Tanner Pearson, Alex Newhook, Mike Matheson out of the gate. And the biggest factor of them all that was reminiscent of last year were goaltenders. Sam Montembeault keeping the Montreal Canadiens out of the Connor Bedard sweepstakes. Big reason why Montreal didn't win the draft lottery was Sam Montembeault won too many games for them. It's undeniable. It's what happened. And this year, out of the gate, 6-7 weeks in, Jake Allen was in the top 3 of wins above expected and was playing lights out and making a plethora of high danger saves from in close with regularity. And so those reasons in particular is why Montreal stayed competitive. And now, more often than not, those things tend to level off. The depth scoring hasn't been as regular as it was in the month of October. Cole Caulfield sitting on 6 goals, projected to score 24 goals this season. That would be, my friends, the most disappointing part of this season. Am I worried about Cole Caulfield? No. Is it disappointing? Without question. So the Canadiens go to Columbus tonight against a hot BJ's team that has won 3 of their last 4 games and are coming off a rather impressive win over the Boston Bruins. I would imagine Elvis Merzlikins will get the call in goal for CBJ tonight. We do know that Sam Montembeault starts for the Montreal Canadiens. And then they're back home where Montreal will play 7 of their next 8 games at the Bell Center. But get ready, because I do think the season kind of turns in the next week and a bit. Montreal will play today. They play tomorrow. They're playing 4 games in 5 or 6 days. So a very short little spurt here for the Canadiens where they're going to pound in a lot of hockey. And I guess we're going to get a much clearer idea of how competitive the Canadiens intend on being. And if they don't, if we're not talking about, Cole Caulfield catching fire and Jake Allen, Sam Montembeault, and Caden Primo stealing wins and the depth scoring resurfacing, I think we have a legitimate case once again to talk about a tank battle update and talk about the Montreal Canadiens looking at the who's who of the top 3, top 4 at the NHL entry draft in the summer of 2024. It's been a fascinating week again for the National Hockey League, everybody, that they just can't seem to get out of their own way. It's beyond frustrating. It defies logic where, we will take it back to Marc-Andre Fleury and his on Indigenous night celebrating his wife's indigenous culture by putting native art on his helmet that he intended to wear for the Minnesota Wild in a game. The league threatened Minnesota multiple times with what they called significant fines if Fleury were going to wear this helmet. And he said he was going to wear it. He was going to eat the fine. And ultimately, the backlash became kind of so severe that Fleury said that he wasn't going to wear the helmet because he didn't want to put his team in a bad spot, in an uncomfortable, awkward spot. Well, we know what happened. He wore the helmet anyway. The NHL didn't fine anybody. Why was this so difficult? Why did it have to get to that point? And you're going to tell me because pride tape and cancer and military, how the NHL doesn't want to do anything because they're afraid one day someone is going to put a decal or put a slogan on their tape or their sweater that's just going to be so offensive. Therefore, let's just take away all the tribute nights for military, cancer awareness, whatever the case may be. It's just sometimes you wonder about who's running the National Hockey League and how did they get that job, because they make rather easy decisions look very difficult, and all they tend to do is embarrass the National Hockey League. And in the case of the Corey Perry Chicago Blackhawks incident that made tidal waves over the course of the last 72 to 96 hours or so, here we are with the Chicago Blackhawks putting Corey on waivers for the sole purpose of terminating his contract. Why? Well, you saw the rumors flying around when we knew that the Chicago Blackhawks, before the statement yesterday, that the Blackhawks have asked Corey Perry to take a leave of absence from the team. No one really said why or what were the motivations behind that, other than that's the decision they've made. And the rumors started to fly, so much so that the rumor involving Corey Perry sleeping with Connor Bedard's mom caught so much fire online that the Blackhawks yesterday finally came out with the statement that said that Corey Perry has been released by the organization, put on waivers. If he clears waivers, they will terminate his contract, meaning he will not get paid. There is no union protection at this point for Corey Perry because the transgression is so severe that it's not gambling, that it's not what the rumor suggested it was, that general manager Kyle Davidson had to come out and say, frankly, that rumor was wrong and disgusting, that he cited a workplace incident that took place allegedly between Corey Perry and I don't know, someone that works with the Chicago Blackhawks, that is an employee of the Blackhawks, because the GM kept going back to a workplace incident that forced the hands of the Chicago Blackhawks. And my question to you is, do you believe, based on the whole tragedy that was the Kyle Beach fiasco with the Chicago Blackhawks, who, let's say it, everybody that was involved in that Kyle Beach tragedy no longer works or is employed by the organization. So they clean house. Everybody that was there at that time is no longer a part of it. So they've turned over the front office in Chicago. The Corey Perry incident is unearthed. And then we get a little bit more clarity on this incident within the Blackhawks organization. And the end result is waivers for the purpose of contract termination. Have the Blackhawks done enough, in your estimation, that they're deserving of the benefit of the doubt? That obviously they have a zero tolerance policy to workplace misconduct. And I don't think they've done enough. But these are the steps that teams, individuals must take in order for us to get there, to extend the benefit of the doubt, that they've done enough things right now and have shown the ability to exercise good judgment in bad times, that we say, okay, mistakes happen. You learn from those mistakes. Don't make it again. And now we extend the benefit of the doubt. What I guess want to believe is that word got to Chicago's upper front office about what took place allegedly, between Corey Perry and I guess someone that works for the team. And they obviously, I'm going to choose to believe here without knowing for certain, that the Blackhawks have a stricter than a zero tolerance policy for workplace misconduct. They investigated, and enough information came back to the front office that prompted green light go, guy's career in Chicago is over. That's what I choose to believe. I don't know what's happened because everything's hush hush. It was asked yesterday if there's a criminal investigation going, and the answer was no. So I don't know if it's a case of protecting the victim here within the Chicago organization. That's why, the insiders that tell us everything about lineups and trades and moves that teams make aren't telling us why Corey Perry was put on waivers for the sole purpose of his contract being terminated. So it could be all of those things, and it's speculation. We're working with what the team told us. So, part of me, I want to believe that with the overturn and the front office looking completely different in Chicago, that there is less than zero room for errors when it comes to this level of misconduct. So, maybe for once we're talking about an education here, and that people, teams, organizations learn from past transgressions and said, enough of this bullshit. Let's cut it now, because there is no room. There is zero room for this to come back to Chicago and show us once again that they're totally incapable of making good judgments in tough times. And maybe they did in this instance. So stand by. Be interesting to see, because I believe that there are many people inside the National Hockey League, and not necessarily with Chicago, that there are people inside the NHL and the inner workings of the league, the insiders of the league, that know what happened and what Corey Perry, I guess, did that prompted such a very severe consequence. Because we're not far removed. Was it last week? 2 weeks ago? Milan Lucic and what happened in his home with his wife, and allegations there of physical abuse. We've heard players gambling, and they're suspended for half a season. So it's none of those things, because there's precedent. This month, this week, there's precedent. So how severe? And listen, I hope I'm right. I hope that Chicago grew and learned from the tragedy of the Kyle Beach, and that they learned from that disgusting exercise in bad judgment and bad decision making. They said, there's no room, zero room for us to be wrong here. So let's make the right call. Like when we watch football games and there's a fumble on the field, was it a fumble or was there forward movement? Let the play itself out before you blow a whistle. In the Car with Star, proudly brought to you by Little Bear Pet Store. Find them online at Little Bear Online. All of your pets' needs met with expert care by the experts at Little Bear Online. Little Bear Online. Tell them In the Car with Star sent you. Everything from your parrot to your fish to your cat to your dog to your hamster to your pet iguana. You care about your pet? Well, congrats. You met people and a business that cares as much about the well-being of your pet, your loved one, your family member as you do. Get all your pet's needs only at Little Bear, littlebearonline.com. Find them in Westmount on St. Catherine, across the street from Alexis Neon Plaza. Tell them In the Car with Star sent you. And if you're listening and you're not in the downtown area, the Westmount area, or a neighboring borough, they deliver. You can have all your pet's needs met, and you never have to leave the comfort of your home. They'll deliver it to you. Find them at Little Bear Online. I gotta tell you, I'm super stoked about the return of Tiger Woods. I spent a good chunk of my day yesterday watching Tiger's press conference on Golf Channel at the Hero World Challenge from St. Albans, Bahamas. This is a perfect spot for Tiger, who's 48 years young. It's a dead flat golf course, 18 players, no cut. He knows it. He knows it well. He's won it 5 times. But that's not the story. Tiger playing at the Hero World Challenge is only part of the story. The real juice of Tiger's press conference yesterday was that he believes and he feels like his ankle is pretty much back to normal, has really no issues walking the golf course and playing golf. We saw him in Mexico caddying for his son Charlie, carrying the bag and walking, suggests that everything that hurt him back in April at the Masters is no longer an issue for Tiger. So much so the man was comfortable telling us yesterday Tiger Woods is ready to play maybe, just maybe, a tournament a month. And my math is good enough to tell you a tournament a month is 12 tournaments. And so that means obviously the 4 majors and 8 more. These designated events, I can see him perhaps playing the Players. You can see him perhaps back at Bay Hill, at Memorial. I'm very excited, everybody. I am very excited to see the GOAT back on the circuit in competitive golf. And I am here to tell you that I do believe Tiger Woods is going to win in 2024. And not only, is he playing and going to be playing at courses that he knows. Let me remind you something. Phil Mickelson won a major championship at 50. Phil Mickelson finished second at Augusta behind John Rahm, who won the Masters last April. We've got a major at Valhalla that Tiger knows like the back of his hand. Let's go. Let's go. Tiger Woods is going to cherry pick every tournament he plays because he has an encyclopedic knowledge of every blade of grass on the course that he's going to play. Experience matters when we talk about playing Augusta National, playing Firestone, playing Valhalla. Tiger Woods knows these courses like the back of his hand. This is a golf savant. He is not coming back to play new courses to get a feel and see where he's at. No. He's going to look at the calendar. He's going to map out every start that isn't a major championship. So get your popcorn ready because our guy is back in 2024. Can't wait to watch Tiger Woods, who's on the course tomorrow, Thursday, playing with his guy, Justin Thomas. Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait. Hit me up in the comments. You optimistic about 48-year-old? How many body parts of this old boy are fused together? I can think of at least 2 parts of his body that are fused together. But nobody loves golf more than Tiger Woods. I thought I loved golf more than anybody on planet Earth. No, I take a back seat to Tiger. And I might have some breaking golf news to pass along in the not-too-distant future. I don't know if my future at the Kanawaki Golf Club is cemented in stone. So I might be looking for a new golf home in the not too distant future. Lots of comments coming in. Let's get to them. Morning, Sean. I'm saying I am on Team Tank with Connor. We need to tank hard the rest of the season. We need to draft a 95-point guy. Thank you, Steph. The only thing I'm going to say about Team Tank, right? The Montreal Canadiens on this 5-game road trip. They just went through California where they played 3 times. There were 6 points up for grabs. They took 4 of 6. If they beat Columbus tonight, they will have taken 6 out of a possible 8 points in their last 4 games. We're talking about tanking. We're talking about tanking for a team that hypothetically, the next time we talk, could have taken 6 out of a possible 8 points. So you tell me, I am personally waiting for another 4 games. I am waiting for 4 more games to come and go before I tell you with conviction whether I am on Team Tank or not. I mean, shit, man. It's November 29th today. They're going to play game 22 today. That means there are 60 more games left to play after today. Jesus Christ, do we want to go 60 more fucking games talking about Team Tank together? December, January, February, March, April. There are 5 more months and 60 more games. Do we want to be talking about Celebrini, whatever his name is, as a consensus #1 overall pick? Moi, vraiment, là, je suis fatigué, moi. Repêchage. How bad it came. Man, I'm tired of draft talk. I'm tired of fucking tanking all the time. That's only 2 years and I'm exhausted in November. So give me 4 more games. And then I'll try to get on board. I'm not on board for Team Tank today. I'm just not. Lots of comments. Tiger, let's go. I am so ready for Tiger Woods. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to watch Golf Channel. I'm watching Tiger swing on the range in the Bahamas. His movements are so fluid. He's so powerful, and the speed. Oh my God, I'm getting aroused thinking about the possibilities of Tiger winning in 2024. I probably went too far there. I probably shouldn't have said that because I'm such a golf nerd, you know. Rick Spaghetti, what to do, baby? It would be nice to tank and get a high pick. The next draft is not looking to be great, is what I'm hearing. The Habs may be smart to trade a prospect and a D to get a good forward who is signed. And Rick continues by saying the Habs at this point almost have too many good prospects on left D anyway. I agree. We spoke about that earlier, Rick, about the depthness of the Canadiens' blue line prospects. It's the best I've seen, I'm going to say, in my lifetime. Obviously, I wasn't around during the era of the big three of Savard, Robinson, and Lapointe, but to see all these guys from Caden Gooley at the top of the list to the veteran presence of Mike Matheson to Jaden Struble to Jordan Harris to Lane Hudson coming, and on we go. I'm very excited about what's to come. Oh, game day, Habs and Blue Jackets tonight. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for joining us live. 30 minutes into this. What time is it now? It's 10:51. Yeah, I do these live all the time. You know, I don't record them. So if I make a mistake or whatever else, it just happens. It's the beauty of doing this. And 31 minutes, 32 minutes here of nonstop me babbling. And thank you for staying with me and commenting and weighing in on this. We're all in this together. I keep telling you. I'm riding this Canadiens rebuild with you, stride for stride, shot for shot, win for win, loss for loss. I am in this to the bitter end, my friends. I'm not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. So we're in this together. Might as well get used to seeing each other and tied to each other because, yeah, we're married, everybody, like it or not. And there's no alimony. I don't have any money. And there's none of this nonsense, right? So, yeah, I'm off, by the way. If you're going to be tuning into TSN 690 tomorrow and Friday, I'm not there. And neither is Connor McKenna. But that shouldn't dissuade you from listening to the dulcet tones of Simon Salikas and everybody else that's in. And today begins a new journey. I was hesitant to kind of bring this up a little bit. I was hesitant to bring it up because I brought it up before. And I kind of flaked out and, I didn't really commit to it as much as I wanted to. But I'm going to try with every ounce of motivation, of discipline in my being, because I've done this before, but I am getting back on the fitness bandwagon. The train to good health and fitness and strength and cardiovascular improvements and endurance begins today. And like anything else, whether I do a sandwich review or starting this new strength and conditioning program at a new gym on Ferrier, which I'll tell you about, I don't get these things. You hear you watch a lot of other podcasts, right? You consume content locally or the big shots across the board, and I'm not perfect. I try to get things for free or there's some sort of angle there. But, a lot of the podcasts and people that are out there, a lot of the motivation comes from getting deals and getting freebies and shit like that, And maybe I'm in the wrong here or not, but I think it's important for me to tell you that I'm paying for these things, So like when I went to Mange Tout on Sherbrooke last week and I ate their delicious sandwich. I went to Marchi Gianni and I had their roasted veal sandwich, I paid for those lunches and I don't need a deal. I didn't ask for a deal. I don't want a deal. Can you imagine getting a free sandwich and then doing some sort of stupid review on it and then slamming the business? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And like, even if I'm not saying I pay for the sandwiches to slam the business if I don't like it. There's a way to say that without destroying a small business, But I think it's important to tell you that I pay for these things. So when I come on future podcasts and hopefully I look a little skinnier and my belly doesn't pop out like I'm 6 months pregnant, that when I talk about a gym, it's because I'm passionate about it. and I genuinely come to you from a place of wanting to help people grow. I love it. I love putting shine on a small business, on a local business that's medium or large size, and telling you why I like it and why I think you would like it too. It's just my nature. I'm a high energy guy. I think for the most part, I think I'm a positive guy by nature. And I like to hustle. I like to work hard. And when I see other people hustle and work hard and they give us a product that I'm excited about, I get excited about things. I have a tendency to get excited about small things and make small things sound big. And sometimes it works for me, and sometimes I make a big deal out of a molehill, you know. And nobody's perfect. I don't pretend to be, but I just want to be transparent. So if I tell you about something, I'm going to be transparent. Little Bear Pet Store is a sponsor of mine. And when I go and I buy dog food for Hank and I buy chew toys for Hank or toys for Hank, I pay for that. So, but they are an advertiser with me. They are a client of mine. But when I try to be as transparent as I can all the time, just for the sake of my own mental well-being, so that we can have a trustworthy relationship between all of us. So that's it. That's all. I'm off the air on Thursday and Friday, but I think I'll be back to do some more podcasts later this week. Certainly, we'll react to the Canadiens playing Columbus in CBJ tonight. Then they're back home to take on Florida tomorrow. So thank you for watching and staying with me. And you can support me by supporting my sponsors. As always, you know I love my dog. And when I tell you to trust the authoritative figures at Little Bear Pet Store on St. Catherine across from the Lexus Neon in Westmount, littlebearonline.com, I mean it. I wouldn't go anywhere that I thought was less than perfect for my dog's needs. Little Bear Online, they deliver to your house. You can support me by supporting my sponsors. So thank you, everybody. Montreal Canadiens and Columbus. Watch the game on TSN 690, and we'll be back later this week to talk about the Montreal Canadiens, whether we're on Team Tank or not. We're not on Team Tank yet. Maybe by Saturday we